Well, good morning and welcome to the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee. It is May 7th, 2018, and hey, thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. I'm going to have decaf with a little of that wild honey and half. It's that wild honey with Wetherspoon. Again, it's it's good stuff. Would love it if you subscribe at iTunes. Leave a review if you are so inspired. I think this will be a little shorter than normal. We have no guest this morning. Interestingly enough, I had two scheduled to record in the past week here. One bailed on me, not sure why. One got sick, so I allowed them to bail, but it happens. Not a big deal. We'll try and reschedule those. So appreciate the attempt. We'll get it. So let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, my book is out. Yes, the book is out. It's awesome. It's fun. Trade show superheroes and exhibiting zombies. 66 lists making the most of your trade show marketing. It's out on Amazon. It's on Kindle. In fact, we really dropped the price on Kindle like to $3.50, and so I'm happy if you get the Kindle version. I can't sign the Kindle version, but I get to sign the other one. Anyway, so first week, a lot of promos on Twitter and other social media. Got a few sales in, but frankly, I'm not really writing it to make a lot of sales. I write it to kind of brand my company and myself, and I give a lot of copies away to potential clients. That's kind of my business card, and so people that I have given it to and have seen it so far have gone like, wow, that's really cool. Love the title. So I have to say I kind of stumbled onto a great title with that. So we'll see how it goes over the next few weeks. I have sent it to a number of colleagues. I have sent it to a number of industry outlets. I think a couple of years ago when my other book came out, the Trade Show Success book, I sent one to Exhibitor Magazine. It took them a year, but they eventually got back to me, and we worked on an article together, and it was a kind of a feature article in Exhibitor Magazine. So that was actually pretty cool. So you never know what will happen with those things, and you just kind of got to be patient with it. So I thought instead of having a guest, I would sort of punt and share several things I'm following or into right now, as the case may be, and I'll have links in the show notes on the blog, TradeshowGuyBlog.com. One of the newsletters I read virtually every single day is called Muck Rack. Their kind of slogan is making journalists, PR pros, and marketers more successful. It kind of monitors the press, and it gives a lot of scoops, I guess, in a sense, and different angles on stories that you've seen in other outlets. So it kind of leads and links to lots of different stories. It's very journalistic oriented. My background is journalism. I kind of, in a sense, think of myself as a journalist at heart, going way back. I spent a lot of years in radio doing radio news. That's journalism, different kind. My high school background was working on the local paper, the high school newspaper, and I've done a lot of writing for newspapers over the years. So I like journalism, and I like this newsletter called Muck Rack. Another one I read pretty much every week is called 5 Bullet Friday. It's from the author Tim Ferriss, which is a quick read, a lot of good stuff there. New Yorker has a daily newsletter. I subscribe to the magazine. My wife loves it. It's kind of my yearly gift to her. But I get a daily newsletter out of the thing, and they have a lot of great writing. New Yorker is really just top-notch writing, and no matter what, they do great reporting from around the world. Yes, it's kind of New York centered, but the writing and the stories are really from around the world. I also read the 538 newsletter every single day, and I what's the guy's name that started 538? The data analyst who was very close in predicting all of the political races over the last several years. He started a website, and there's a newsletter attached to it called 538 Newsletter. I just can't think of the guy's name right now. Oh well, whatever. Here's what I'm listening to. I just got this. It's called On Air Rolling Stones. A lot of stuff from like 63 to about 67 maybe. A lot of stuff for the BBC. In fact, it's listed as a BBC recording out by the BBC. Terrific stuff in there. I'd never heard the Rolling Stones cover Chuck Berry's Roll Over Beethoven. Beatles had a big I guess not really hit with it, but it was a great recording with George Harrison playing. But, the Rolling Stones knocked it off really well as well. A lot of cover tunes and a handful of their new stuff. It's great to hear them in the studio doing one take on things like Memphis, Tennessee, which is a Chuck Berry song. I Want to Be Your Man, which is a Paul and John song from the Beatles. They gave him that song. More Chuck Berry. Of course, they did Satisfaction the last time. Some other stuff the Stones wrote. It's a great collection. A couple of CDs there. I'm also listening to a lot of 70s reggae music, and I have a friend down in Los Angeles that I saw when I was down there for Expo West in March, and he said, bring a thumb drive. I got some stuff for you. Roger Steffens is his name. Look him up. He's a photographer, a reggae archivist, and a Bob Marley biographer, and I can't say enough about the guy. He said, bring this down. I got like 125 gigabytes of reggae music from him, a lot of 70s stuff. He did a show in Los Angeles for years called The Beat on one of the local public stations down there. Guests from every walk of the reggae life that came along. Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, you name it. He had them on his show, and I've got a lot of them there, as well as he has virtually every single put out by Studio One out of Jamaica as a reggae collector, and I've got he and his family have ripped a lot of those. He's got a son and daughter working on this project. Have ripped a lot of those or all of those singles, I should say, to digital, and so I've got those right here. So I've been listening to a lot of that. Also listened to some Bruce Springsteen live concerts. There's a newsletter I get called from nugs.net, and they have a lot of live stuff for sale, including a lot of Bruce stuff for live. And I picked up a show from Boston, November 2007, that was really a lot of fun. Another thing I'm listening to, another band, is the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. Upbeat band. I don't know how many people are in the band. It's a dozen or more. As you might imagine, they are from Tokyo. They play ska, and they're very, very good at it. If you like that kind of stuff, look up the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. They will occasionally come to the stateside, but really not much. They're more of a Japan band. I'm also reading Harry Bosch and Chris Ducker. I finished the Harry Bosch book here. It's Concrete Blonde, Harry Bosch novel. Of course, I'm also watching the Harry Bosch series. The fourth season, I believe, on Amazon is out, and that's terrific. And I'm also reading Chris Ducker's book, Rise of the Upreneur, which is a very good book. Chris has got a great podcast as well called Upreneur.fm. Fun book. About a third of the way through it. How to basically build your own brand, as it were. So good stuff. And what am I listening to podcast-wise? Well, I've been listening. I mentioned this as one of the good things here in the last few weeks. Seth Godin's Akimbo. Jonathan Capehart has a great podcast called Cape Up. Capehart is of the Washington Post. New York Times Daily is a great podcast. It's a 15 or 20-minute dive into a specific story. New Yorker podcast is also very good. David Remnick is the editor, and he hosts most of those. They had a interview, like an hour and a half interview with James Comey, former FBI director, in a public forum, as it were, and he grilled him pretty hard. And like 2 days later, it was out as a special podcast. Good stuff there. And a Crime Town. There's Crime Town. I kind of stopped listening to a couple of weeks ago, but it's several episodes on how I think Providence, Rhode Island, was basically this mob town back in the 60s. And it was, you just kind of shake your head at some of the things that went on, but Crime Town was a great one. So, Trade Show Tip of the Week is from a blog post I did just recently called 8 Trade Show Follow-Up Best Practice Tips. And let me share some of those with you. You can go check the blog post out as well. It's going to be in the show notes as well. So when you're doing follow-up, make sure, and this really comes down to a lot of sales tactics and good practices as well. So set aside a time to call. Most of us wear a lot of hats, and so finding time to make those calls is very difficult sometimes. So say, okay, every day from 10 to 11, I'm going to make the calls, whatever that time might be, and then do it. So budget the time out. Block everything else out during this time. Even turn your phone off. or at least silent it, turn your mail program off so that you're just doing the calls. Know what you're going to say. I think it's very important to know what your script is, or what your bullet points are that you're going to talk, what your intro is, those kinds of things. And as time goes by, you'll refine those and get them better at it. Know the goal of the call. Know what you want out of it. Do you want to make an appointment? Do you want to send the guy something or send the woman something? So, figure out what the goal of the call is. Be consistent. If you can't get a hold of somebody, don't wait another month or two to try back. I'm a pest. I seriously am. But I'm a nice pest, and I tell people that. I say, sorry to bug you again. I know I bugged you just last week, but I'm bugging you again. I'm leaving you another message, and here's why I'm calling. And I'm a pest, but I'm a nice pest. I'm a nice guy to talk to. So. Another thing is be available at unusual times. If you really can't connect, you might say, hey, can I call you after hours, or call me before hours or after hours? Here's the number to reach me on my cell. So be available. Another thing is don't take it personally, because this is really not about you. Don't take a rejection personally. It's you made the connection at a show or whatever, and you make a follow-up call. But it's not about you. You're just trying to make a connection, make a sale, move it forward the next step. And if it's not something that's going to happen, don't take it personally. Don't take it as a rejection of yourself. And finally, never give up. I've had prospects that I haven't made sales on for months and months and months. Years go by, and I kind of reconnect. Some of them are even former clients from 10 years ago. But all of a sudden, the door is open because we know that things change, people change, companies change. New people are in new positions, and the booth gets old or whatever. It's always an opening. It may not be right now. It may be a little bit down the line. So never give up. So that's my best practices for follow-up. All right, that's going to wrap it up. You heard all the one good things, so we'll just list those in the show notes. Have yourself a great week. This is Tim Patterson, Trade Show Guy, and it's the Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee.